So welcome along everyone, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today. Today we're going to be chatting about music licensing and how it impacts your studio and also your bottom line. I'm Chantal Brodrick, board member of AUSactive, and I'd like to welcome along the director of OneMusic Australia, Catherine Giuliano. Hey Catherine.
Hi everyone.
Great to have you on this afternoon, Catherine. And I also want to say a welcome to Carolyn, Ewan and Jose. Now, they are also from OneMusic Australia, and Carolyn, Ewan and Jose will be in the chat thread and also in the Q&A thread. So as Catherine and I are talking this afternoon, they're going to be there to answer your questions. So please make sure that you say hi to those guys and ask questions as we go along today. Now, AUSactive and OneMusic Australia would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands across the many areas where this webinar is being held today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. There are three key areas that we're going to be focusing on during today's session. We're going to chat about understanding if you need a license for the music that you're playing, understanding the best way to advise your music use to the body who issues licenses, and understanding how music creators get paid a share of your music license fees. Now, needless to say, yoga and Pilates are some of the most diversified and much loved practices in the health and wellbeing sector. And classes can be held, in studios to large-scale yoga events like Wanderlust Yoga and Music Festival. We've got Yin Yoga, we've got Hot Yoga, we've got Mat Pilates, Reformer Pilates. There are so many that I could name. And of course, classes take place in a range of different locations, whether it be fitness studios, parks, physiotherapy practices, private studios, just to name a few. So Catherine, do you want to get things started today and talk to us about some of the ways that music is being used in wellbeing businesses?
Thank you, Chantal, and hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining and for us to have this opportunity to kind of present to you and speak to you all things music. Music is important in everyone's life and, has impact worldwide in many capacities, but so does yoga and Pilates, which is close to my heart because I do both and it keeps me grounded and very happy. So thank you for this opportunity. So yes, Chantal, the first question you asked, that yes, music is used in lots of variations, and it's either as background music, which is on all the time, or it's in classes and is used to in terms of your movement that happens within a class, or it's just used sporadically. So lots of ways that music is used. In other venues, probably separate to yoga and Pilates, it's live and it's recorded, and there's all different ways that music's used in businesses in particular. So if we get into it, this whole presentation is to provide you with the ins and outs of music licensing in particular, and how it is pertinent to businesses and basically who we are, who OneMusic is as a business in the whole ecosystem of music use, and how we connect with music users, and also the main connection of the creators of music. So we're going to start with the first question that almost everyone asks, and that is, why do I need a music license? So this is where it all begins. So I took this from work and lugged it home. This, everyone, is the Copyright Act of Australia. That's the Australian Copyright Act of 1968. Massive book that it is. And copyright came to Australia in 1926 when radio was introduced in Australia. It's Commonwealth legislation, so it's federal law. And to simplify it, it's very complicated, this book, but it's part 3 of this book is where musical works and sound recordings sit, and I'll talk more about that. But what it essentially says is that there are copyright owners, the creators of music, and if someone uses a piece of music in a commercial environment, so that's a business, and it means outside of domestic use, which is the home or the car. So if music's not used in any kind of domestic environment, but used in a business, permission is required from the copyright owner for that use. And permission is granted in Australia for businesses by OneMusic, who represents two copyright owners. So there's two copyright owners in that Copyright Act whenever music is used, and OneMusic tries to simplify it so that people don't need to go to every single individual copyright owner to gain that permission. And I'm just going to let you know, I'm using some notes, so because I don't want to miss anything, and I want to make sure that that everything's covered. So I'm going to do a very quick Copyright 101 session. You don't have to read the book, just so to make it clear so everyone can kind of get why you need a license. So in the Copyright Act, there's copyright ownership, or copyright sits with the musical work. And the musical work is a creation by a composer or songwriter. So they have copyright in the musical work. Every time something is composed, copyright is automatically granted to that songwriter and composer for the musical work. But there's copyright also in the original sound recording. So once that work has been recorded, so a recording has been made, the original sound recording also has copyright within that, and that belongs to the performing artist. So the recording artist. So then you've got the songwriter and the recording artist, because often they're not the same people. Often they are different people. For instance, Kylie Minogue. Kylie Minogue is the recording artist, and a lot of her songs are written by a woman called Kathy Dennis. She's the songwriter. So they're separate copyrights, and separate permissions need to be gained if you're going to publicly perform music. There's a number of rights in the Copyright Act. I'll give them to you quickly. One is the right to broadcast. That's radio and TV. They need permission to broadcast, and that's through terrestrial airwaves, copyright, so radio and television. There's the public performance, and that's what we're talking about today. That's to publicly perform outside of the home in your business. So it's called public performance, but that's you guys playing music in your business. The other right to touch on is reproduction. So whenever music is copied or delivered for a commercial purpose, permission is also required for that. And that there's that element, or that right, copyright right, is in our license as well, in the OneMusic license. And the last one is, so we've got broadcast, public performance, and reproduction. So they're the rights in the Copyright Act. So there's the three that you need whenever you do something, you know, you manipulate or do something with music. There's a couple of things up on that screen. We've got copyright.org.au. That represents the Australian Copyright Council. So they are a government body that kind of verify who OneMusic are. So OneMusic basically is the organisation that represents songwriters around the world, the whole wide world, and recording artists. So instead of going to every single publisher or songwriter or performing artist or record label, because they represent them, you come to OneMusic for permission for public performance rather than having to go to each individual one. So it makes it easier. And there's societies similar to OneMusic in every country around the world, and I'll show you a little map later that shows that. So the Australian Copyright Council has all information about copyright. not only music copyright, but also copyright in the written word, in artwork, because copyright sits with other mediums as well as music. So if you want more information, you can go to the Australian Copyright Council, another government organisation that you can go to, which talks about OneMusic and kind of gives you further information other than just from us, from OneMusic, is the acronym is ABLIS, but that's the Australian Business Licence and Information Service. So that's a government service. When you start up a business, there's things that you need, like your public liability insurance. You would also go to ABLIS to find out all the particular licenses you need in starting up a business, and OneMusic licenses is mentioned in there. Respect is up there. That's just to say that you are part of a music ecosystem. So in taking out that license, not are you actually complying with the law, but you're also supporting art and culture and music in this country, and you are a major part of that whole ecosystem, because your license fees go back to that artist and songwriter for them to do the things they do, so that they can create more music for us to love, and for it to create a real vibe for your business. The next point, music motivates and stimulates. I think what I have learnt, and being in this business for 20 years, is that music has real power and has real impact. I mean, I'm sure you know yourselves that you have your songs, your breakup songs, your songs that make you happy, sad, but music actually can bring people to tears. It can actually influence human behaviour. You know, in restaurants, separate to you guys, but it actually can influence people to actually be able to select specific wines. If it's a restaurant, you know, that sells wine, to what food they pick. It has so much impact. It creates a vibe for your business. It makes people feel calm when you want them to feel calm. It makes people feel excited if you want them to be excited. And it also has impact in your brand. It is one of the elements in creating a brand of how you want your business to be perceived externally. So music is amazing. Obviously, I'm passionate about it. I work in it. OneMusic, so you know, is a non-profit enterprise, as all other societies like ours all over the world. And administration fees taken out to run the business, we operate at about 12% admin costs, and the absolute rest goes to copyright owners. Presto, the last point there, is a free booklet that we provide. You can come to our website, and what that does, it houses all the research around the world that actually shows how music impacts human behaviour specific to your business. So how you can use it wisely, and actually think about the music you're using to maximise, you know, your customer experience, client experience, and at the end of the day, your bottom line, which is, you know, your profit and your revenue. The next question we're going to go to is another one that's around copyright protection, and we get this question is, how do I know the music I am using is protected by copyright? Right, there's things like royalty-free music out there, and some of that music's not in our repertoire, but sometimes it's advertised as royalty-free, but it actually is copyright protected music. So it can be a little bit tricky. I'll touch on the point that I wanted to talk to you about, which is that we have reciprocal agreements all over the world, and we in Australia will license the use of music by all those rights I was talking to you about, as countries do in their jurisdictions. So if you're playing a music from overseas, we will send that money to that specific society overseas. If they're playing Australian works in their territory, they will send the money to us. So it's a whole economy of public performance and music worldwide. So we represent worldwide music, repertoire of music. But if you think the music you're playing is not copyright protected, I might get Jose and one of the OneMusic staff to put in a link to our work search. So the musical work in Australia is looked after by APRA AMCOS, and the sound recordings side of copyright is looked after PPCA. And we had come together in 2019 to create OneMusic. So although OneMusic is the license that you need, the front, the back end of the businesses is APRA and PPCA. You can go to the APRA website, and here's the map. So basically the whole world is covered by music. Throughout the whole world is covered by it's the music that we represent. Well, that's APRA territory. So this is specific to the songwriter, but the sound recording, we represent the whole lot. But if you go to the APRA website and the work search, you type in the song title, and if you know the performer, that is helpful too, and it will match the worldwide repertoire of music and will let you know whether it's a copyright protected work or not, just for your assurance for a specific song. But the licenses we provide are blanket licenses. So it's a risk mitigation, so it covers all music being used. So basically, if you have a OneMusic license, you can play whatever you like, whenever you like. You completely and totally feel comfortable in the knowledge that everything is covered. We might dive a little deeper now, and we go to the next slide. And this is what types of music licenses, what type of music use apply to wellbeing sectors. So in the OneMusic agreement, it covers what we think all the types of uses that are happening within your business, and that's yoga, Pilates predominantly, but fitness in general, the fitness industry, and that's music in classes, that's timetabled classes, background music, or often we have discussions with your industry, and a lot of it's like background arrival music, or just to used when people arrive and then not used, and then maybe when they leave. That's why we've got arrival music there, but basically it's background music. Telephone on hold, your business might be big enough, or you've got multi-locations and you've got a telephone on hold service. So we license telephone on hold. Music on websites, that's just incidental background music that you might just have on your website. So that's not social media or Facebook. They have separate licenses, Facebook, TikTok, all those, they're covered separately. But if you have a dedicated website for your business and you just put incidental music on there, it's covered. There's an all-inclusive element to the license. And what that is, that packages up the whole lot. There's another, Luke, if you press again, I think it might come up. It's digital copy delivery. There it is. Digital copy delivery. That means the reproduction. So when I talked about the rights, public performance, reproduction, broadcast, reproduction is if you make a copy, so it might be a CD compilation, or if you're streaming music, that's bundled into the license agreement, and the all-inclusive might be a cheaper option for some businesses, and they might need all of those up above, and it might be cheaper, or you might just need one or two of the above. Side note is that we work it out with you, the cheapest option. We make sure that it's reviewed properly, and you get the best, the cheapest and the most relevant to your business there. What we're going to go to now is to give you some live examples of the application of the license agreement that we offer for the public performance of music and reproduction, and show how they're actually applied to real life Pilates studios. So I'm going to give you four examples will be coming up. And these are actual businesses. So this first one is a Pilates studio in suburban Sydney, who are a first-time licensee. So they've got a OneMusic license for the first time. So they've just started up their business. They're a franchisee of a whole franchised, type of business. And they have selected the all-inclusive rate. There's a bracket there, so it's only applicable to studios, not for individual instructors. I'll talk about individual instructors, what might be more applicable to you, but the all-inclusive rate was selected here, and they had an estimate number of, because you might have to estimate for the first year, because you don't actually know what your number of classes are, even though there's 50 classes here, would have had to be an estimate, and you might not know what your member numbers are. So you just have to make the best estimate when you get a license. But what we do is we adjust it at the end of the year. We come back to you and we say, well, actually, what have you done? And we'll give you a credit, or there might be an invoice due to make an adjustment on that. So they estimated 50 members for background music and 50 classes per week. And the all-inclusive worked out as a better option, which was $36 per 16 per member. And that's the license fee there, $1,808. So that covers everything. And it covered, there's also the add-on of digital copy delivery and telephone on hold. So that's the first example there. If we move to the second one, it's a Pilates studio in regional New South Wales, and they went on to our portal. So for everyone's knowledge, we actually have a OneMusic portal. So if you go to the OneMusic website, we've got a get a quote system. So if you want to get a quote, that's an anonymous quote, just to kind of get the lay of the land. You can see what the fees are. In that get a quote, you can continue to move into the portal to actually get a license. So this particular Pilates studio went to the portal. They actually have a background music supplier that supplies their music. I'm not sure if you know who a background music supplier are, but I will let you know. What they do is you engage them. So they're a service that you pay for. That's got nothing to do with OneMusic, but they are a service that curate the music for you. So often businesses will get the experts in. They will know, and they are the experts, let me tell you. They operate very much in the retail space. If you've heard of Coles Radio, playing in Coles Supermarket, that's a background music supplier that curates and supplies that music. It's also in the fitness industry, it happens. So a background music supplier will come in and they will curate the music. So this Pilates studio engaged Soundtrack Your Brand to be the music supplier. And what that meant is that the digital copy and delivery, so the delivery of that music is looked after by Soundtrack Your Brand. It meant that this studio didn't have to worry about that right being covered or permission being granted for that right. It's covered by a background music supplier. So if you use a background music supplier, it does make it cheaper, our license cheaper, because part of it's already been covered. They had no music being used during classes. They just had background music all day. So it's just continuous music on. They had selected all-inclusive and put in 6 members, and that was an error. So that meant they were actually over-licensed. So we saw that and thought, this doesn't look right. We contacted them, and what it was, they actually had 6 people attend per class. They had 100, which meant they had 100 members overall. So we switched them to the fitness background music license for 100 members, and it actually saved them $100. So put them into the cheaper license fee. Next example is a yoga studio in the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. They were a first-time licensee, so started up their business, so their new yoga studio. They had selected the all-inclusive rate. Again, they went to the portal and did that. They estimated 10 members. That worked out at $36.16 per member, and that meant that the minimum fee applied. Now, please note these fees are annual fees. It's for the whole year. So it's $384 per 16 for the whole year. Next example is, if we go to the next slide, of a yoga studio in regional South Australia. Now here we're heading into the space of yoga instructors. So this yoga instructor played CDs. So they were playing music in their class. So the music was played in the classes. They estimated 120 classes a year. Each class was less in the license, the OneMusic license. The fee is either less than 10 is a rate, or more than 10. So they are less than 10 per class, and the annual fee for this particular yoga studio is $403.04. On the portal, it asks questions and you flow through. So, the portal's an easy way to do it, but we have licensing reps in this space who will talk you through it and work out what the best option for you is. So we've actually got, Caroline Lee is here in this. She's a dedicated account manager. She'll put her contact details in the chat or in the Q&A, and you actually can contact her directly, and she'll actually, help you, be signed up to the best option in the OneMusic license. Next question now, moving on, is I teach at more than one location. Do I need to license each location? So yes, all our OneMusic licenses for every single industry and across the board are location-based. So it's the physical building place. That's the application of it. So you would license each location. If you're an instructor and you operate within a dedicated, say, yoga or Pilates or fitness location, it's up to the business owner of that location to take out the license. They're authorising the public performance of music on the premises. So it's not up to the individual fitness instructors, it's the business owner of the location. A fitness instructor or yoga or Pilates instructor would take out a OneMusic license if they don't operate in a physical location. You may operate in a community centre, which has lots of other things happening in there. So it's not a dedicated fitness location. Or you are doing your classes in a park. So it's not a physical building. And yes, so you're kind of mobile and moving around, and you're not in dedicated locations. That's when you would need, a fitness instructor would need a OneMusic license directly. So I thought I'd better point that out. Yeah, I hope that answers that question. If anyone's got more questions about that question being asked, please put it into the Q&A, and we'll answer it and move along. So the next question is, so we're getting a little technical now. So in relation to rights, we're back in copyright and rights. In the license agreement, there's something called partial rights deduction. This is where a discount is applied to the license scheme. Now, going back to the Copyright 101 bit that I talked about, we've got the songwriter, composer, and we've got the original sound recording, which is the recording artist. If a piece of music is covered, so it's a cover, it's not the original song. So it's not Kylie Minogue's version of, Locomotion or one of her songs. It's not the original sound recording, but someone's done a cover recording, then a partial rights deduction is applied because the original sound recording's not being played. But there's always the composer and songwriter element. So you pay for the APRA side of it, which is the songwriter composer side, but you don't need to pay or gain permission and pay for the original sound recording side. So basically, you're going to pay half the fees. So that's what partial rights deduction is. Partial rights deduction, just for your knowledge, I might just add this, is if you were playing live music. So, you know, if someone was playing guitar, again, no original sound recording is being used. The sound recording, the CD or the Spotify or, you know, the actual recording's not being paid. It's live. It's a live performance. You would only need the APRA side if you were playing live music. And that is the option in your business to play live music. Radio and TV, terrestrial radio and TV is the same thing. If you're playing free-to-air TV and radio, which is AM, FM radio, not streamed, also partial rights deduction is warranted there as well. A little bit technical, so I hope I've made that simple for you. If you've got questions, ask. I'm happy to, you know, try and explain that one further. Digital copy delivery, I've touched on this. This is the right in the Copyright Act, which is reproduction and also communication right, but reproduction. And that is where you've either made a copy of a CD and made your own compilation. You can do that in your personal life, by the way. You can do that to your heart's content. But if you're doing it for your business in a business context, that it's called a tariff on the OneMusic license is applicable. And if you're playing any streaming service, it's also applicable because, yeah, that needs to be covered because the stream is, the communication is happening for that. So that's what digital copy delivery is. Next question is, we're going into the streaming element now, is I pay for a streaming service. Do I still need a license? The answer is yes. You do need a license if you're paying a streaming service. And I'll tell you why. When you subscribe to a streaming service, to a subscription service, or it could be an ad service, you know, or ad-funded service, or it could be just the pure subscription service. When you sign up to that, in the terms and conditions, it's for domestic use only. You're not meant to be streaming those services in your business. That's not part of the terms and conditions. Say if you sign up for Spotify or Apple Music, you're not meant to be doing that. But you still need a OneMusic license because we are licensing the right for you to do that, or the rights, which is the communication and the reproduction right to do that, because you are exercising that right. So it's a funny one. You, even if you're using that, I mean, we don't police that because it's got nothing to do with us. That is about you and Spotify. You know, that's your engagement with Spotify. If you're using Spotify in your business, but we license the rights being utilised. And what is being utilised is the reproduction, which is digital copy and delivery, which I mentioned before, if you're using Spotify in your business. So yes, if you're using a service, you are, because you're actually using that service when you sign up for it for your home use only. Next question. Another big question that's asked, and legitimately so. Where does the money go? How do I know it's going to the people I'm playing? You know, what is the distribution mechanism that happens? So I'm going to talk to you about that now. So
Catherine, first, can I jump in quickly?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt because you're doing fantastic. I just wanted to acknowledge that there have been quite a few questions just on that last one when you talked about the streaming service, and there's quite a few questions coming up also in relation to the license when when using outdoors, like in parks and recreation areas, which you touched on also. So, and I know that E1, you're going to jump on, you're keen to jump on as well and answer those. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we are monitoring the questions as they go along. And when Catherine has finished the presentation, we're hoping we'll have a little sliver of time to be able to answer your questions. So please continue to ask them in that Q&A box, and we hope to get to them towards the end of the presentation. Sorry to interrupt, Catherine.
That's great. No, I'm sorry, because all I'm hearing is my voice and seeing. I don't see anyone.
There are lots of questions coming through.
And when you don't get feedback, it's so interesting to know, is that understandable? Yeah, so if you're a business and you're playing music in a park, you need a license. So I don't know what the particular question is, but yes, you do, because you're a business and you're doing it in a commercial context. So I don't know if that answers that, but I'm sure E1 and Jose, and hopefully at the end we can talk more about that. And yes, the streaming service is that, yes, you've signed up and you've paid for that subscription, as you would if you buy a CD. You've paid for the CD, you know, you pay your iTunes, you pay to get that, but to play it and in your business, to whatever the way that you get your music, yes, you need to have a license for the public performance of music and for the reproduction of that music for the two rights. So, you know, maybe we can talk more about that when we, move on, when we go on. So,
thanks, Catherine.
Yeah. So where the money goes. So, firstly, to create a piece of music can take a songwriter years in the making. So a lot of blood, sweat and tears goes into making music. So that's the first thing. So so there's APRA and there's PPCA, and when license fee come in, when the license fees come in, it goes into a pool. We split it. We give PPCA, who represent the original sound recording or the recording artist. We pass that money to PPCA, who are a whole separate entity unto themselves, and they have their own distribution practices. And you can visit their website to see what they do. But I'm going to talk about APRA, APRA, the songwriter element of it, because APRA actually administers OneMusic. I was an APRA employee to start with, and we took in the PPCA representation and created OneMusic to make it easier for you guys to have a one-stop shop. That's why OneMusic was created, to further simplify things, because as you can tell from this presentation, music copyright isn't that simple, unfortunately. So we've tried to make it simple. So in terms of where the money goes for songwriters, we distribute it through data we receive. So we receive data, songwriter data or set list data from a number of sources in your industry, because we don't ask you as individuals to give us every song that you play. There's no way we would ever do that. We've got, just to give you an idea, we've got about 100,000 licensees out there. And if we asked every business to give us every single song they played, well, it would not only be onerous on you to do that, especially if you're playing a lot of music, but we wouldn't be able to do it. There would be no money left to give to the songwriter and to the recording artist, because that amount of data and to work it out, to pay it out, it's not possible. So it's a blanket license. The licenses that are given to you is blanket license, which means you can play as much music as you like, whenever you like, whatever music you like. So how do we pay it out? So I've got my notes here, so I'm going to tell you. So for fitness classes, if you have that tariff in the OneMusic license, we pay out 38% of the pool of money that we get is paid out to data providers that curate fitness programs. For instance, Les Mills is one. There's a number of them. So we get data in from fitness program operators and service providers. They give us 100% of the music that they are providing to businesses. So 38% is based on that data. 31% is based on radio playlists. Just so you know, we get 100% of data from commercial radios, and non-commercial radios or community radios, we get sample data, but every single song that is played on the radio, commercial radio, we get every single song to the minute. In fact, actually to the second, we get the piece, and we know how long a piece is played. So it's distributed based on that, because we say that a lot of the music played on radio can be played out in the market, you know. So that's why we also get community radio too, because that can be niche music, and we want to pay out to niche songs as well. And the other 31% is paid on the data we receive from streaming services. So we get every single stream from every single streaming service. Every single stream, if you have Spotify, every single stream is reported to us, because we have agreements with Spotify for the domestic use. They have to still be licensed for that domestic use of coming into the territory of Australia. So from Spotify, we get every single stream. So for classes, that's how we pay it out. For fitness background music, now background music also covers TV's within that mix, because there are quite a few businesses in the fitness industry that actually have the TV on, and people can access TV. So 50% goes to TV, music on TV. Just so you know, TV stations all have a license with APRA AMCOS, because they have to have a license to broadcast the music that they play. It's a broadcast license they have, which is in the Copyright Act. So they have to do that. So we get every single song. So 50% goes to TV, 25% goes to radio, and 25% goes to streaming services, or the streaming data that we get. So that's how we work it out. That's how it's done. So we use the resources. We try and work it out, and it's reviewed regularly, just so you know. And, you know, we try and make it as accurate as possible, and working with organisations like AUSactive to go, what's happening out there in the market, who's playing what, you know, what seems to be the most popular, even in respect to the data we receive from the fitness programmers. And we also get data from background music suppliers. So background music suppliers come into the mix as well, right? Because we know that they're being used there. We get all their set lists because they have direct licenses with us for the digital copy delivery, which I mentioned before. So we get all set list data from them. The other thing is, I've got to mention, so it will be more accurate in the future. And when I said it's being reviewed, you might have heard the term, and may not, MRT, that is music recognition technology. An example of that is Shazam. We're looking into that, where we will be able to, in the future, put little inobtrusive devices in businesses that will listen to the music being played. It doesn't pick up voices or words, just so if some people get a bit concerned when it says listening device. It only picks up music. It will it will stream or cache 10 seconds of each song, because it matches it so quickly. And we've done trials already in this space where the matching rates above 95%. It is amazing, the technology now, where we can do direct distributions to what is being played in your business, we can actually pay out the exact songs. So it's going to go down that road. But at the moment, we're doing it according to these analogous kind of ways as best we can, but we will be accurate. And if you guys are up for it, you can let us know, because we're trialing, we're going to be rolling out, and we will be putting such devices into businesses. You know, it's going to happen very soon.
Catherine, there is so much information, and thank you for explaining all of that. And I can tell you that the OneMusic Australia team have been frantically answering all the questions in the chat, which has been fabulous. And I know that we've got Ewan and Jose there, and I think Carolyn's there as well. If it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is circle back to a couple of the most commonly asked questions, and where we might start this. Ewan, I don't know if you're available right now, because I've noticed that you wanted to jump on live and answer this question, so I want to welcome you in. The question came from Sandra, and it was, can you please elaborate more for instructors who move around to different locations, including gyms that don't have a license and or parks and outdoor areas where apps like Spotify might be used? Now, you have obviously elaborated quite a bit on Spotify, but Ewan, I think, did you want to say a few words specifically in relation to that question?
Let's bring Ewan on.
Yeah.
Great, someone other than me. You can meet the team, the fantastic OneMusic team.
Yeah. Ewan, can you hear us now? Maybe you can hear us, but we can't hear you. Do you want to just check that you're not on mute at the moment?
He's off mute. I can see that he's off mute.
Okay. If not, Ewan, I'll leave that one with you at the moment. And what? Oh, here we go. We've got
Jose. We have Jose.
Hey, Jose. Thanks for joining us. We can't hear you.
No, so there's no audio.
No.
That's unfortunate.
Okay.
But I can answer that.
No. Do you want to answer that?
I'll answer it. So if you're an instructor and you're moving around, you would have a OneMusic license to cover you, because you're essentially a small business, you're a sole trader. So you're a sole trader, you're a business, and you would, yes, have a OneMusic license. One thing that I know, looking at Jose, who asked me to mention this, and I better mention this is important for instructors, is that if you do one-on-one classes, so they're not timetabled, so you wouldn't take out a OneMusic license for classes, you would take out a OneMusic license for background music if you were doing appointment style classes. So they are classes, but they're not timetabled. It's one-on-one, and it's kind of the boutique kind of thing. You know, it's appointment only, is what I'm saying. Yeah, you'd be classified as background, not classes, because to be eligible for music in classes tariff, it has to be timetabled. It's got to be timetabled and scheduled for the public, yeah, to attend and see it.
Catherine, thank you. And Ewan and Jose, feel free to jump on if that audio is working. Do you want to try that again? No, we have your visual, just not the audio. Catherine, thanks for answering that question. The other thing that I'm seeing coming up frequently is questions around Power Music, Yes Music, Click Mix. That seems to be popping up quite frequently. People asking how the licensing applies, and I know that the team have been answering that. Do you want to talk to that as well, Catherine?
Is that a type of music being used?
Yeah, so we've got here, I'd like to know how this applies to Power Music. Power Music sell their music to trainers to use in our exercise sessions. Do we need a license? And I can actually share with you, just in case anyone hasn't seen the answer here. So Jose has answered that Power Music is a PPCA-free covers service. A license is still needed, but we apply a 48.25% discount, acknowledging the fact that you are using a PPCA-free service.
That's it. So that was the partial rights deduction part of the presentation, where yeah, it's basically half the license fee is applicable because only half the rights are being used. So it's a cover recording.
Okay, let me just go back through and see what other common questions we're coming up with.
So if people are using specific types of repertoire or services, click or whatever, all they need to do is just ask us if it's within repertoire or not, because we kind of know whether it is or isn't, and some of it might not be, and we'll let you know if it isn't, because some is classified as royalty-free, 100% royalty-free, which means they've got direct deals with record labels and the copyright owners, so we're out of the loop. That doesn't happen very often, but it can happen, and we will let them know. We will say, no license from OneMusic is required.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. This is an interesting one that came in from Jeanette, who said, what if any of the members that come into our facility want to play their music on the gym's speaker system or on the studio's speaker system?
Yeah, so the OneMusic license covers it. So it's still public performance because it's happening within that business and that class, but you can play music from any device, any source, in any way. The OneMusic license covers it, as long as they've accounted for it.
Excellent. Let me just move back into the chat thread. Okay, so questions just come in to say, can you give us a guide on the cost for a sole trader background music license? This might be hard to do on the spot, but where it's appointment only, one-on-one PT or small groups in parks and community centres. I think you did touch on that.
Yeah. So yeah, the one-on-ones, you know, the sort of private, you have it. It's still your business. It's not like domestic because it's you as a business operator, but it's one-on-one is background music. I mean, all they need to do is to jump on the OneMusic. I would suggest, rather than doing individual, you know, applications, jump on the OneMusic portal. You just go onemusic.com.au and it does a free quote, and you can get an idea of the cost just by going through that. Where questions are asked, and you don't have to go through and get the license, but you can if you want to.
Just get an indication.
Yeah.
Great. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and I know that the team are still answering questions in the chat box at the moment. So if you do have any final questions for Catherine or any of the OneMusic Australia team, now is the time to ask them. And I just want to acknowledge thank you to everyone that has been asking questions. I know that there are some common threads that are coming up, and it's been great to see how much interaction there's been in the webinar today. And Catherine, thank you to you for jumping on all of those questions. Excellent. Thank you. That's great to hear, Mia. Thanks for your feedback. Yes, someone's just asking if the payment's one-off. I think you covered that as well. You said it's an annual payment.
Oh, what it is if it's over $500, it's broken down into quarterlies.
Right.
So yeah, it goes quarterly.
Yep.
But you report once a year.
Excellent. Let me just see if there's any more questions that have come back in. Annie, thank you very much. But for those of you that wanted to go to that link that Catherine mentioned in regards to getting a quote, Annie has just popped that in the chat thread right now so that you can access that nice and easily. You guys know exactly where to go. Okay. So please continue to pop those questions, everyone. And I just want to say, Catherine, thank you very much. I mean, this is you've given us such a comprehensive view into music licensing. Really do appreciate it. And it's been great having so many people on board. So I think a couple of important things to leave us on. How do people get in touch with the OneMusic Australia team if they want to continue to chat further, get some more information off the back of this? And also any final messages that you want to leave us with today?
Yeah, so please contact us. So if you go to our website, there's we've got a 1300 number, and it's our customer support, and they will move you to the team here. You can contact the team. Jose, Caroline runs it. So really, Caroline Lee looks after yoga and Pilates in particular. She's our expert licensing rep. But go to the portal. We've got all the information. We've got live chat is another facility that we've got. So you can go there. And yeah, happy to help. because, and the last thing I want to say to end off is that it's not easy, unfortunately. And this thing, I hope I've kind of simplified it for people in some capacity. And I want to leave people with the knowledge that they are contributors to the whole music ecosystem, is what I said, the story of a song. We've got this story of a song, and license fees actually do go to people. And it's unfortunate that only we see it. Music users don't actually see it. So every day I get thanked by the music creators where the money goes. And, it's only through sources of revenue, because they're small business operators themselves, that they're able to continue to do what they do. And often people think it goes just to the Elton Johns of the world, but it doesn't. It actually does go to all music creators, and they're appreciative. So I thank you for using music and for getting a license, because you are actually contributing to that, and you should know it. You should know that you are, and hopefully we can bring more of our music creators to the fore. And we try to do that with all our comms, to have them actually speak to you rather than me speak to you, that they actually come on and can talk to you direct and let you know what contribution you're actually making.
No, it's really, really good to know that, Catherine. And thank you so much for spending this past hour with us. Thank you to all of the team. It's been great to have everyone on board. And thank you so much to everyone that's attended the webinar today. It's great to see so many of you here. And we really appreciate your interaction. We appreciate your questions. It's important for all of us to understand what you want to know out there, especially in regards to music licensing. So thank you so much. And I noticed that, Luke, thank you for popping the contact details in the chat thread as well. So that concludes our webinar for today. And I'm going to guess that Luke is going to be sending out a survey after this. So really important. We would love you to fill in that survey, please, after today's webinar. So Catherine, thank you once again to you and to all of the team. Luke, thanks for your help, and we will see you for the next webinar.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.